Hello, and welcome to the Pennsylvania Humanities Council's PA Sharp Grant Details and Application Information video. My name is Jen Danifo, and I'm Senior Program Officer here at the Pennsylvania Humanities Council. I'm here at home in my house, and I'm going to walk you through this opportunity and how to apply. And we truly hope that this video helps to provide some insight into the application process and provide some details on the grant opportunity. I just wanted to say that we're so thrilled to be able to offer this opportunity to cultural organizations across Pennsylvania. And we really hope that today's information video is helpful to you. So a little bit of details about PA Sharp before we get started. As part of the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 signed into law by President Biden, the Pennsylvania Humanities Council and other state and regional humanities councils are distributing funding from the National Endowment for the Humanities. Called Sustaining the Humanities through the American Rescue Plan, or SHARP, this pool of funds recognizes both the financial realities of the ongoing pandemic and the vital importance of the humanities to economic and civic life. Through our approximately $1.2 million PA Sharp grant program, PHC will provide up to $20,000 to organizations, and that's flexible funding that can be used to support the growth and recovery of the humanities in Pennsylvania. This is a great opportunity for organizations to grow, reimagine, reinvent, and re-envision the humanities through planning, capacity building, and creative programming. In addition to grants for programs and operations and capacity building, PHC will partner with our grantees to develop a special statewide learning network that fosters resource sharing, networking, and mutual support. The stated purpose of PA Sharp funding is to help organizations working in the humanities prevent, prepare for, and recover and respond to the coronavirus pandemic. Our goal is to support and lead Pennsylvania's growth, recovery, and renewal, giving everyone in the state the opportunity to thrive. So a few details that I did just want to point out that are on this slide. Again, just a reminder that the purpose of the funding is to prepare for, respond to, and recover from the coronavirus. PHC is really interested in that growth opportunity and really sees this as an opportunity for organizations to apply for funding to help them grow and be able to respond to whatever comes down the road next. Both the general operating and capacity building stream and the program stream, folks can apply for up to $20,000 in flexible funding. I'm going to talk through that in just a little bit. There is no match required for this grant opportunity. And if you are awarded a PA Sharp grant, you would be included in the PA Sharp Learning Network that is designed to support recovery across the state. And take note, the application period is September 1 through October 1 of this year. So the deadline for this opportunity is October 1st. And I will, at the end of this presentation, I'm going to go through all the key dates so you can mark your calendars. So one of the questions we always get is who's eligible. And so we hope, this is, outlined in our guidelines and our frequently asked questions document, which can be found on our website as well. But we hope that this table kind of, helps to give you some quick details about eligibility. So we always strive to distribute funding equitably across the state, and our goal is to grow a statewide network of people and organizations that value the humanities. So first and foremost, we're looking at organizations with 501c3 tax exempt status that are based in and serve PA residents. Those organizations should have an equivalent of at least one full-time employee and have been in operation for at least 1 year. Accredited institutions of higher education and state and local government agencies are also eligible. And I'm going to get into the finer details of this in a little bit, but we're also looking at, eligible are humanities mission organizations and/or organizations that does significant humanities programming. Ineligible are individuals, for-profit businesses, organizations supported by a fiscal sponsor, religious, political, or advocacy organizations, and K-12 institutions. Like I mentioned, we welcome applications from any Pennsylvania organization that meets the eligibility requirements, but we also want to build new relationships across the state. So we strongly encourage first-time applicants. So if you're new to PHC in our grant making and you were eligible, we strongly encourage you to apply, particularly non-humanities organizations that are seeking programmatic support. And again, I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means in a little bit. We're also really strongly interested in supporting small to medium-sized organizations, and those are organizations that have operating budgets 150K or less to 499K. And then finally, because we value diversity and belonging with an inclusive approach to engagement in the humanities, we are very interested in supporting BIPOC and API organizations. BIPOC is Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and API is Asian American Pacific Islander. These organizations would have a mission and programming that is explicitly reflective of those communities, and where the board, staff, and collaborators include a significant representation of those communities. So just a little finer detail on that last point. For significant representation, we consider board and staff that are at least 50% BIPOC or API, depending, on what kind of organization you are. That would be considered, significant representation. And these organizations would have missions, intentions, and practices that are by, for, and about the art, heritages, histories, and cultures of the communities of color they serve. So now I'm going to get down into the details of each grant stream. So the first one is general operating and capacity building grants. Again, asks here can be up to $20,000, and they are open to humanities mission organizations only. Funding can be used to support general operating needs like staffing, rent, utilities, administrative costs. Could also be for planning and capacity building efforts related to preparing, responding to, and recovering from the coronavirus. Also, can be used to support work to imagine new business models or new strategies to reach out to new constituents. And also, for organizations that are thinking about strengthening diversity, inclusion, and equity and belonging efforts, funding can support that as well. So what do we mean by humanities organizations or humanities mission organizations? Well, first we have to start with our definition of the humanities and what we consider viable humanities programs. We get this question all the time. So PHC believes that the humanities are a process by which we come to understand, support, and celebrate the human experience. While we value the traditional humanities, we believe the humanities transcend rigid disciplines. So that means that we're looking for programs and organizations that celebrate storytelling, thinking about historical and looking at historical perspectives, are encouraging curiosity, knowledge building, creativity, and having deliberative conversations. They are most important to us. It's also important that we move beyond the history books and provide opportunities for everyday people to document their own culture and experiences and shape their own futures. In addition, we really believe that the humanities can have some significant impacts. So any organization and program that is looking to do the following is really of interest to us. So, as we know, the humanities can build connections, make space for new voices, create empathy and a sense of belonging, support vibrant local communities, foster resiliency and healing, develop leadership skills, improve lifelong learning and critical thinking skills, and challenge prejudices. We believe the power of the humanities, with the power of the humanities, we come to understand and connect through the sharing of human experiences. So now that we've defined the humanities as PHC thinks of it, what do we mean by humanities organizations? So these are organizations where the humanities is central to their mission, program, and work. These are organizations that are committed to working with community partners to provide these programs and services that center the humanities and that reflect the needs, interests, and identities of the constituents they serve. So some examples here would be cultural and ethnic organizations, museums, historical societies, public libraries, literature and media organizations, or public archives. I just want to mention that this is not a full list. We do have frequently asked questions. We have a frequently asked questions document on our website. So, check that out if you want a fuller list of who we consider humanities organizations. The next stream that we have, or the second stream, is our program grants. And these, again, are also up to 20K. And they are open to humanities mission organizations, those we just talked about, and organizations that do not have a humanities mission, but do significant work in the humanities. I'll talk about what that means in a minute. Funding here can be used to support program costs, things associated with reimagining or adapting programming and community engagement efforts, technical needs, and the expansion and adaptation of programming due to the coronavirus. So just a little fine detail on the technical needs. Equipment and technical costs cannot exceed 20% of an award. So that means if you are looking to request funding for technical or equipment to help, with maybe say getting virtual programming up and running and continuing that for your constituents, just make sure that that ask or that line item doesn't exceed 20% of the overall ask that you're coming to us for. So what are non-humanities organizations? So we know that there are a lot of different cultural organizations across the state. Not all of them are focused on the humanities, but many of them may do humanities work. So these are organizations that are committed to using the tools of the humanities, even if their mission is not based in the humanities. They work closely with community partners to provide these programs and humanities activities that reflect the needs, interests, and identities of constituents. So some examples here would be art organizations and museums, state and local government organizations, community development corporations, and youth serving organizations. Now, all of those organizations you kind of already can gather wouldn't have necessarily the idea of the humanities in their mission per se. They might be about youth, they might be about art, they may be about community, but they may also do work in the humanities or offer programming and activities that are very humanities based. So they could apply to us for the program grants. One thing I want to mention, I want to go back to this, the two opportunities that we have, the general operating and capacity building and the program grants, you would have to choose one if you're eligible for both. So say you're an organization that would be eligible for either one of those categories, you have to choose one. So we can't accept two applications from the same organization for the two different streams. So only one application per organization. So some special considerations and restrictions. This is federal funds, so there are always some finer details. And so we wanted to talk about that so that folks are very clear about what they can use the money for. And here it is. So organizations can only apply for one opportunity. So just wanted to mention that. Funding cannot be used to support projects that fall outside of the humanities and the humanistic social sciences. Funding also can't support project costs that are overlapping with any pending or approved application for federal funding and or approved federal awards. So again, if you apply to another entity for, say, the NEH or some other federal source for a project, you can't come to us and apply for that same project and with overlapping costs. That's not allowed. Again, equipment and technical costs cannot exceed 20% of your total project cost and ask. You can't use the money to regrant. You couldn't give it to another organization to do the work for you. You'd have to, that's not allowed. You can't regrant it. You can't use it for travel or lobbying. Organizations and activities must be open to the public and accessible. And the funding can't support construction or renovations. So again, this is not a full list of restrictions and considerations. I encourage you to check out our frequently asked questions document at pahumanities.org /PA Sharp. Finally, I did want to, touch upon our PA Learning Network. When we were distributing over $70,000 in emergency relief funding through our CARES grant last year, we heard from a lot of those grantees that they would value an opportunity to build a supportive community of organizations doing similar work and going through similar challenges. So we built this PA Sharp Learning Network, which is really a community of practice to address the urgent need for the humanities by bringing together people passionate about creating inclusive, engaged communities, and they're ready to learn about, ready to lead the statewide recovery alongside PHC. So this would be made up of our funded organizations. We would meet approximately 4 times in 2022. Most likely it would be virtual, although if there are opportunities for us to get together in person, we will explore that and see if we can potentially do that once throughout the year. The activities of these, what we're considering really communities of practice would be tailored to the emerging needs of our grantees. It could include anything from just roundtable discussions about different topics that folks are seeing pop up, as they're going through this work. Informational webinars, maybe we bring in an expert to talk about something like audience development or something like that, if that's of interest to our group. And there may be some other professional development opportunities that we provide. We do hope that members find inspiration in this group, and this is a first-time effort for us with this kind of grant opportunity, so we're really excited to see how it evolves. So how are we reviewing applications? Another question we get, how are our applications being scored? Who are they being reviewed by? So I'm going to talk a little bit about that now. So applications will be reviewed internally by PHC board and staff, but first round of reviews is by an external group of experts. So we find experts in the field of humanities and other culture areas across the state to review the applications. And the criteria that you see on the screen here, humanities mission and programming, community engagement, growth response and recovery plan and activities, and the impact of the pandemic. These are all areas that we would be, that our external external reviewers and our board and staff will be looking at and scoring. Scoring is on a scale of 1 to 4, 1 being low, 4 being high. And all of the questions in the application map back to this scoring criteria. So for example, we ask a question in the application, tell us your mission, tell us about your programming and how the humanities figure in. Talk to us about, how you engage the community in your work, what partners may you work with to do that? How does it reflect the needs and interests of your community? Growth response and recovery plan is basically, what are you asking for? How much money are you asking for and what are you going to do with it? And how is that going to help you grow, respond, and recover from, what's happened over the past year? And then finally, we'll also look at some details about your finances and ask some questions about, staffing and programs and what's been kind of lost through the pandemic, because we do know there have been some, there have been some significant impacts to your operations. But again, that third bullet point is really one of the most important things we're going to look at. How are you thinking about this opportunity as an opportunity to grow, respond, and recover from this past year? How will it help to, potentially launch you into the future of whatever the work your organization is doing? So we'll also look at your budget as a part of that. We will ask for a proposed budget that should match, the amount of funds you're asking for. So yeah, that's how we're going to review. One thing I do want to mention is that in criteria number 1, we do ask for both about your mission, your organization's mission, and programming in order to level the playing field for organizations that are humanities specific, right? Their mission is about the humanities, and also for those that just do, may not be missioned in the humanities, but do humanities programming. So we'll make sure to look for both of those. So how do you apply? This is the most important part, right? So you're going to visit our PA Sharp webpage, which you probably already have been to if you're watching this video. But just as a reminder, it's pahumanities.org/PA Sharp. You're going to read carefully through our PA Sharp guidelines, the frequently asked questions, and our sample application, which has all of the questions that you'll find in the application portal. They'll also tell you what supporting materials you need as well, so you can gather everything you need and then, sit down and complete the application. On that page, there is an Apply Now button that you'll click, which will take you to the special PHC grant portal, and that will get you right into the online application. And then you'll log in or you'll create an account to begin your application. One thing I want to mention is that when you get to the login page, make sure to have your EIN, your organization's EIN number available. We will ask you for that, and that'll help us match whoever's applying to the organization that's in our system, so that in some cases, if you have applied in the past, some fields may autofill for you already, and you can, that may help you more quickly complete the application. So make sure to have your EIN available at the time that you are logging in. Also, something really important to consider We will be asking for operating budgets for fiscal years 2019, 2020, and 2021. So please have those materials ready, as you're applying. You'll also need to upload either your 990, your 990 EZ, or your audited financial statement. And then finally, we'll ask you about your audience numbers for programs in 2019 and 2020. So have some of that, make sure to have some of those details with you as you're applying. You can save the application. I do want to mention that a lot of people ask us, can we go back? Do we have to fill it out all at once, or can we go back and, kind of do a piecemeal? You can. There is an opportunity for you to, there's a save button at the bottom. So you can, start to fill it out and then go back and fill out a little bit more, the following day. When you're done, you'll click the submit button. All of this will be very obvious when you get to the system. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. So as promised, here are some important dates so you all can mark your calendars. September 1, our application period launches. Everything is available on our website. October 1, application period ends at midnight. You have up until midnight to apply through our online portal. November 23rd is when we will, so in October and early November, we'll be making, reviewing and making final decisions. And by November 23rd, we will notify folks of our final decisions and funding. And this is really important to note. The performance period for this grant, for the PA Sharp grant, is 1 year. So January 1, 2022, grant period begins and activities must begin. And then December 31st, 2022, your grant period ends. So activities have to be completed or money has to be spent out or committed. Seems like my PowerPoint is frozen. There we are. Sorry about that. So finally, contact us. We are really excited again to be offering this opportunity to cultural organizations across Pennsylvania. And if you have any questions, I'm available. My information is right here on the screen. Taylor Tolton Kane, who is our program and communications associate, it's kind of the first, the first person you should reach out to, because she can help filter your question and get it to the right person. I'll be primarily dealing with questions of eligibility and, questions about what could I apply for, anything about like programmatic or having to do with the application. And then, if you have technical questions, you can reach out to Taylor as well. So reach out to Taylor first. Her contact information is right here on the screen. Again, we can help you with determining eligibility, choosing a grant type, completing an application, troubleshooting technical difficulties with the online system. I will recommend that you email us first because we're in the office a couple days a week now and building up to being there full time, but still mostly working from home. So the easiest way to get to us is really through email. However, I have included our phone numbers and our extensions, and we do get those pretty regularly as well. So you can feel free to call us if you need to. That just about does it. I want to thank you all for hanging with me on this Monday night, talking about Sharp details, and we really hope that you all consider applying. We look forward to reading your application, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thanks so much and good luck.